everybody watching the show knows what this is. A 48 Tucker, as interesting piece of American automotive history as we have anywhere in the country. So tell us a story on this, and also I'd like your insight into what happened. Was Tucker a crook, or was he in over his head, or what happened there?
Well, Tucker was an interesting man. Was he a promoter? Absolutely. Was he somebody promoting stock fraud or other things? No, I don't think so. There was a U.S. Attorney General who was absolutely convinced that he was guilty of stock fraud and fund manipulation, and with the power of the federal government subpoena came in and seized all of the corporate records one day. And then there was a big ugly trial in Chicago, and ultimately Tucker and all the people in the company were all found innocent of all charges. But they'd spent so much money on defense, and there was so much bad publicity that they couldn't get the car off the ground. Tucker ultimately went away, went to Brazil for a while, and tried to start another car company down there, and they were going to build a car called the Carioca that never made it into production. I don't think there were even any prototype cars working. But I think Tucker was just kind of at the wrong place at the wrong time, with power of people that didn't like what he was doing. There's another urban legend out there about how the domestic big three tried to put him out of business, and I don't think that was really the case either. The steering wheel and horn ring is stock Lincoln parts. The air cleaner and carburetor is Cadillac parts. He was buying from the same vendors and from the other manufacturers. It's just in the immediate post-war seller's market, he couldn't buy steel for the same prices that the domestic big three were buying steel. He was competing for resources when everything else was being used, and he was the new kid on the block. So he just really didn't have a chance to get it going. My background has been in manufacturing, and when I look at this car, there's a tremendous amount of engineering in this car. He was one of the first to have a pop-out windshield to eliminate the damage from people if they were in a collision, or what they called the crumple zone in the front seat with the space between the dashboard. The third eye in the center of the car, that steers and articulates with the steering wheel to light the way as you turn. If you look at the roof, it's got doors cut up into it like from an aviation influence, but to give people better access in and out. So he had many very creative ideas in his time. So if this was a fraud, somebody put a lot of effort into it.
The motor is a big deal on this. Talk about that.
It's a flat six, very similar to a Corvair or a Porsche engine. It was manufactured by Franklin, and it was actually a World War II surplus helicopter engine. They were air-cooled. Franklin had a specialty of air-cooled engines in their cars and their airplane engines. The Tucker engineers developed water jackets and turned it into a water-cooled, radiator-cooled car. But it was a very torquey engine, and they had a lot of power in the thing. In the early cars, they had trouble snapping axles because the engine had so much torque. But you fire it up, and it sounds a lot like an oversized Corvair.
So. The value on these over the last 15 years has gone up, gone down, gone up, gone down, and now it's way up.
Well, they've gone up, and it's one of those things like everything. My dad taught me a long time ago that anything they're not making any more of is probably going to be good to have value over time. But in the last 3 years or so, the value has crossed $1 million. Most recently, in the January 2012 Barrett-Jackson auction, the car sold there for just under $3 million. But yeah, they've gone up better than anybody's 401k.